There comes a moment in every life when you have to choose. Will I be ruled by my feelings, or will I take command of my future? Too many people lose the battle before it even begins, not because they're not smart, not because they're not talented, but because they let their emotions hijack their destiny. Think about it. How many times have you known what needed to be done, but fear stopped you? How many moments were stolen by anger, doubt, anxiety, the emotions that ran wild because the mind wasn't in control? Let me tell you the truth, raw and real. You will never win in life until your mind is stronger than your emotions. Not in business, not in relationships, not in health, not in anything that truly matters. This isn't about becoming cold, this is about becoming clear. It's about choosing power over panic, purpose over pressure, decisions over distractions. So if you're ready to break free from the emotional chains that have held you back, if you're ready to tap into the version of you that doesn't just survive but dominates, then stay with me, because the next few minutes could shift your entire life. Emotion is powerful, it's raw, it's real. It's what makes us human. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Emotion without direction becomes destruction. Some people let their emotions drive them, but they don't realize they're heading straight off a cliff. They react instead of respond. They explode instead of evolve. And the cost? Relationships get damaged, opportunities are missed, confidence gets crushed. Why? Because they never learned how to harness that emotional energy and put it to work for them, not against them. I'm not saying you should shut down your emotions. That's not strength, that's denial. I'm saying you've got to become the one in control, because emotion is like fire. Controlled, it heats your home. Out of control, it burns the whole thing to the ground. You can't win at life when you're constantly being pulled by how you feel. You win when your mind becomes the commander. When your mind says, I hear you, emotion, but I'm leading today. But think about it. When was the last time anger made something better? When did fear ever open a door for you? When has jealousy, guilt, or shame ever made you grow? They don't. But here's the twist. Those emotions aren't the enemy. They're signals. They're telling you something's out of alignment. But if you let the signal become the steering wheel, you're done. That's the moment your power is gone. So what do? You train your mind to take charge. You condition yourself day by day to pause, breathe, and choose. You build the muscle of mental clarity, so even when emotion hits hard, and it will, you've still got control. That's real strength. Not burying emotion, but mastering it, directing it, using it as fuel to rise, not fall. You've got to decide right now, are you going to be a slave to your feelings, or are you going to become the architect of your future? Because every time you let emotion run the show, you trade your potential for temporary relief. But when your mind is stronger than your emotions, that's when you start winning. That's when everything begins to change. People look at mental strength like it's some gift, like either you're born with it or you're not. But that's a lie. Mental strength isn't luck. It's not DNA. It's built. It's earned. Just like you go to the gym to build physical strength, you have to train your mind daily if you want it to be strong enough to lead your emotions and not be led by them. You know what most people do? They wait. They wait to feel ready. They wait for motivation. They wait for the fear to go away. But that's not how strength is built. You don't wait to feel strong. You train to be strong. The person with the strongest mind in the room isn't the one who had the easiest path. It's the one who showed up every day even when they didn't want to. It's the one who pushed through when it was inconvenient, when it was painful, when it was lonely. You've got to stop treating your mind like a side dish and start training it like your survival depends on it. Because it does. Life is going to punch you in the face. Business will go sideways. People will betray you. Plans will fall apart. And in those moments, You don't rise to your level of goals. You fall to the level of your training. If you haven't built that inner strength, those emotions will eat you alive. But here's the beautiful part. Mental strength compounds. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're building. Every time you do the hard thing, even when the easy thing is calling your name, you're training. Every time you override the emotion and act from clarity and purpose, you're laying down another brick in the foundation of a powerful mind. And the difference between someone who bends and someone who breaks? Training. Not talent, not education, not motivation, training. You want a mind that doesn't crack under pressure? Then train it. You want to stop sabotaging your life with temporary emotions? Then condition your brain to lead. Do the reps, feel the resistance, embrace the pressure, because that's where the power is born. You don't get mental strength by hoping for it. You earn it in the trenches. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Your feelings don't care about your future. They don't care about your goals. They don't care about the life you're trying to build. Feelings are temporary, reactive, emotional, but decisions shape your destiny. Winners don't build their lives on how they feel in the moment. They build their lives on commitment, on clarity, on choices made with vision, not emotion. How many times have you known what to do, but didn't do it because it didn't feel good? You didn't feel like making that call. You didn't feel like showing up. You didn't feel like being uncomfortable. So you backed off and you paid the price later. But here's the reality. Successful people don't feel their way into action. They act their way into results. They don't wait for the mood to strike. They decide and then they follow through, regardless of how they feel. You've got to stop giving your feelings the steering wheel and start letting your values drive. You want to change your life? You want to grow? Then you need to decide right now that emotions don't get the final vote. You do. Your standard does. Your mission does. That's what creates real power. Because emotions lie. Fear says you're not ready. Insecurity says you're not enough. Doubt tells you to shrink. But your mind, when it's clear, when it's trained, it cuts through all that noise. It says, I've made the decision. I'm moving forward. No matter what I feel, I know who I am, and I know what I'm here to do. The moment you start living by decisions instead of emotions, everything shifts. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop quitting when it gets tough, and you push through because your outcome matters more than your comfort. That's when your life starts aligning with your vision, not just your mood. You've got to get this locked in. Decisions shape your reality, not feelings, not fear, not frustration. Every time you act on what you've decided instead of how you feel, you take back control of your life. And that's how champions are made. Most people don't even realize it, but they're walking through life in emotional chains. They think they're free, but they're not. They're reacting to everything, to what people say, to what didn't go right, to fear, to stress, to the past. And as long as your emotions control you, you're not living. You're surviving. You're not making decisions. You're being pulled by whatever shows up that day. Freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. Real freedom is being able to choose your response no matter what life throws at you. It's being able to stand in the storm and say, I decide how I feel. I decide how I move. I decide who I become. That's emotional mastery. And once you own that, no one, not a person, not a failure, not even your past, can take your power away from you. You've got to stop giving your energy to every emotion that comes knocking. Fear shows up, great, but you don't have to invite it in. Anxiety whispers, let it talk, but don't let it lead. The moment you realize you don't have to obey every emotion, everything changes. You begin to reclaim your power. You begin to live on purpose, not on autopilot. You see, your emotions are real, but they're not always right. They're signals, not commands. You don't ignore them, but you don't surrender to them either. You acknowledge them, you listen, and then you make a conscious choice. That's what separates the person who rises from the one who keeps falling into the same emotional traps again and again. You've got to stop reacting to life and start creating it. You do that by mastering your emotions, not silencing them, not pretending they don't exist, but putting your mind in charge. That's where real confidence comes from. Not pretending you're unshakable, but knowing that no matter what emotion shows up, it doesn't get to run your life. You can't lead a powerful life if you're constantly being led by powerless emotions. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you feel less. It means you own what you feel and you move anyway. That's where your real freedom begins. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your reality. Whatever you let in, whatever you dwell on, whatever you focus on, that's what your life becomes. It's not magic. It's not some mystical idea. It's practical. It's truth. You don't see life as it is. You see life as you are. And how you are depends on what you focus on every single day. Most people don't even realize how sloppy they are with their focus. They wake up and immediately go into stress mode. They focus on what's missing, on what went wrong, on what could go wrong next. And guess what? That becomes their experience. They're not even in a bad life. They're just in a bad pattern. Because whatever you focus on, you feel, even if it's not real. Focus on fear, focus on pain, you feel more pain. But here's the good news. The same rule applies in the other direction. Focus on progress, you feel momentum. Focus on what you're grateful for, you feel empowered. Focus on what's possible, you start to see opportunities you were blind to before. It's not the world that needs to change. It's your lens. You've got to stop giving all your energy to what drains you and start feeding what drives you. You've got to train your brain just like you train your body. Every time you choose to shift your focus from problems to possibilities, from lack to abundance, from fear to action, you're rewiring your mind. You're literally creating a new emotional home. And when your mind becomes a place of strength and clarity, emotions don't run the show anymore. You do. But if you let your focus be hijacked by every negative thought, every worry, every setback, your emotions will spiral. And when your emotions spiral, so does your life. So take back the gate. Be intentional. Be ruthless about what you allow into your mental space, because your life will always reflect the quality of your dominant thoughts. Where focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, your life grows. Pain is part of the deal. If you're alive, you're going to feel it. Emotional pain, disappointment, betrayal, failure, nobody escapes it. But here's the truth. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. It's trying to get your attention. It's trying to teach you something. But most people run from it. They numb it. They avoid it, blame others for it. And by doing that, they give their power away again and again. You've got to stop seeing emotional pain as the enemy. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. It's a message. It's your body, your heart, your spirit saying, hey, something's out of alignment. But if your mind isn't strong, you'll take that signal and turn it into a story that says, I'm not enough, I'll never succeed, people always leave, this is just the way my life is. And that story becomes your prison. But when your mind is trained, when it's stronger than your emotions, you start to hear the pain differently. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this here to teach me? That shift changes everything, because now you're using pain as a tool instead of being used by it. You're using it to fuel your growth, to raise your standards, to sharpen your vision. Some of the strongest people you've ever met didn't get there by living easy lives. They got there because they stopped running from pain and started learning from it. They turned pain into wisdom. They turned heartbreak into hunger. And that only happens when your mind steps in and takes the lead. See, suffering isn't in the pain. It's in the meaning you give the pain. And that meaning comes from your mindset. If your mind says, this broke me, you stay broken. But if your mind says, this built me, then nothing can stop you. The same emotion that drowns one person becomes the fuel that launches another. The difference, mental strength. You can't avoid pain, but you can choose to grow through it instead of shrink because of it.